Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell, and welcome to a new video, and welcome to Moscow. As you can see behind me, I'm at Gagarin shopping mall here in Moscow. Maybe this red arch looks awfully familiar. I thought I'd show you Ashan Hypermarket here in Moscow. And this was made very famous just recently by Tucker Carlson. And I thought I'd go for a bit of a walk around exactly how he did and show you what this supermarket looks like on a bit of a bigger scale, because he did a little bit of a tight shot in a lot of places. So I thought I'd show you what it's really like in this shopping center, and I hope you enjoy it. Let's go. I find YouTube videos very interesting because, you know, you can edit them how you like and have them come out how you like. But in one direction, you're going to see the car park, and then in the other direction, you see these bright red panels, which is exactly where Tucker Carlson stood for his intro of his supermarket video. And it took me about 30 minutes to find this particular entrance, because it's actually 3 levels that this car park has underground from the main street level. Now, I do have one question. Does the car park where you go shopping have bathrooms in the car park? Let me know. The shopping center is called Gagarin Shopping Center, and this is in honor of Yuri Gagarin. Now, there's a really neat, very large statue just across the road from here, and there's a very nice park that you can walk around. And I think a lot of people who probably come to this shopping center absolutely miss that statue of the very famous cosmonaut. Have a look how vast this lower entrance is. There's another 2 more levels underneath this one to go inside the shopping center, and we want to go and check out these shopping carts that apparently Tucker Carlson had never seen before, and they were world first shopping carts. For the sake of this video, I'm not actually going to need a shopping trolley because I'm going to just go for a walk around. I'm not sure if I need to buy anything to take home. My wife hasn't sent me a shopping list yet, but essentially 10 rubles and the shopping trolley is yours. I do have one question though. Where you live in the world, what do you call these devices? Now, in Australia we call them shopping trolleys. Please let me know in the comments where you live in the world and what is the name of them as a comparable word to shopping trolley. I almost feel like Tucker Carlson doesn't go shopping himself very often. He took his shopping trolley on the Travelator right here. These aren't something new anywhere in the world, and he showed how the wheels lock into position when you go up the Travelator. And anywhere in the world that you go and you take a trolley back to the car park or to the shops like this, this is a normal thing everywhere in the world. It's not a only in Russia kind of thing. I've actually lived here in Moscow for just about 10 years, since the very first time I came here. And I've been to the shopping center hundreds of times before, and I don't actually have a car, so I come here by public transport. There is trains, buses, and even trams that come right to this shopping center. It's not too far from my house where I live in Moscow, so it's very easy for me to come here and come shopping and make this video for you. The actual shopping center is 3 levels, and the Ashan we're going to go to is a 2-level hypermarket, and it's really an insane supermarket. If you've not been to bigger hypermarkets before, it's really quite mind-blowing the amount of things in there. This is actually the normal entrance that I come through just off in the distance, which leads you also to the public transport and all of the normal shops wrapped around the shopping center, and all the things that are very typical in Russian shopping malls. This particular shopping mall isn't anything fancy. It doesn't have anything unique that other shopping centers don't have or do have. This is very, very typical for a Moscow shopping center. It's actually not even that big. There is probably close to 100 shopping malls in Moscow and Moscow region. I remember Tucker Carlson mentioning that he had to go past a perfume shop to get into the supermarket, and that's very true. This is the traditional entrance. You can also enter from the upstairs level as well, but we're going to go in right here. One of the things I found interesting with Tucker Carlson's video is how he took the shopping cart from the car park entrance and then pushed it through the shopping center to come to Ashan, which is right in front of me. Now, if you've ever come to this shopping center before, you know there's always this big pile of trolleys right here. And then simply you put your coin in and then you walk right on inside. And you don't have to walk through the whole shopping center. You don't have to go past the perfume shop, which was right next door. So I'm not sure how much walking he really did with it, but let's go inside Ashan and check it out. If you've never heard of Ashan before, it's actually a French-owned supermarket chain that's all throughout Russia. There is 230 of them across all regions of Russia, so not just here in Moscow. You can go to them as far as Vladivostok, or any bigger city will have an Ashan somewhere. Now, what I want to point out also is what is the more typical way that people come shopping in this supermarket. A lot of people who will come here by public transport, so they only really have the ability to carry 1 or 2 shopping bags home. So these hand baskets are much more typical. I'm going to say it a few times this because it really is in Russia. And you've also got the metal trolley here that you can put the baskets in and then push them around. I'm trying to catch a couple of people doing it at the same time, so it makes sense. And you understand that this is the more usual way that people come shopping. With this supermarket being 2 levels, there is also a travelator inside to go upstairs or downstairs, of course. And a lot of people start shopping at one end and then end up at the other. The upstairs level is all of the non-grocery items. And then down here on this ground floor level is foodie heaven. I think that might be the best way to describe it. There is more than enough choices of food, no matter what your budget is in Russia. And this supermarket is really for everybody. It's not necessarily just one person's budget or another. Now, I don't typically come to Ashan because it's a little bit out of my way to come here. It's really not that far from my house, but it's just that little bit further to go home, so it's easy for me to go to other supermarkets or other hypermarkets that are a little bit closer. So this particular video is more of a tour of Ashan, and this particular hypermarket that's been made very famous around the entire world for the last week on television and social media. So I'll definitely show you around the supermarket and what it feels like, and I'll show you a couple of things that I might think is interesting for you to look at in here as well. First thing I want to show you is eggs, and there was, of course, an egg crisis in Russia, according to the news. It was really only for a couple of days, particularly right over the New Year holiday in Russia. As you can see now, there is plenty of them, and they've even got pallets of them on the top level here as well. This supermarket has a lot of people come through it on a daily basis, so as quick as they put it out, they're gone. Now, I generally just walk in and find the one that's the promotional price of a box of eggs. I'm not very bothered about finding a specific brand or type. And of course, over the last month, the price of eggs have gone up a little bit here in Moscow. They haven't gone up a lot. And I think now they're actually coming down slowly and they're stabilizing in terms of the price. I'm just looking here at the classic box of eggs. So this is 10 eggs in a box, and this one is 130 rubles. So just about $1.30 for a pack of 10. Now, there was a sign here showing eggs for 97 rubles. And for me, pretty much right on 100 rubles is about the normal price for a classic pack of 10 eggs. Just as a point of interest, I'm actually shopping in the store on a Wednesday lunchtime. And I came about an hour ago, initially to the shopping center to have lunch. And I thought I'd do the walk around after lunch. That way I'm not shopping on an empty stomach. There is a little bit of self-checkout here. And then there is absolutely endless, regular, traditional checkouts where the ladies sit down on the chairs and do all of the transactions. I think by a long way the more popular part of this supermarket is always the fruit and vegetable section, and everybody literally walks straight into this and does all of their daily or weekly shopping. The one thing that is important when you see people with the two types of baskets right here is a lot of people will only be shopping for a few days. There isn't really the person coming in here who's doing a weekly shop. We have so many small supermarkets closer to where we live where we can do that and buy something, you know, literally every day. So a lot of people are only shopping for today, tomorrow, maybe the next day, and that's it. Plenty of fruit. Seasonally right now, mandarins are hugely popular. These are the very small ones. I just find these too fiddly personally. And there is a lot of other sizes of mandarins that you can get, but a lot of people like certain varieties of them. Never-ending choices of tomatoes. These are the normal mandarins. That's what I'm used to. I don't like them little tiny fiddly ones. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just the skill of opening them and eating them. We'll see here more of the vegetables. And then what they do with the more bulk vegetables here, like onions, potatoes, carrots, they've just got them in these big crates. And you just dig through and choose them how you like. Potatoes are 20 rubles a kilo for the unwashed ones. And then you take them home and put them in the sink and you're good to go. One of my favorite parts of Ashan is the bakery. And just the amount of choices of fresh bread and bread that's prepared here literally in the back. And you'll even see the lady there with the trolley of fresh breads. And then it's probably hard to sort of make out, but this entire back section is the in-house bakery. It's actually a really big space. And then everything that you see that's on these racks are all literally prepared fresh in the store. And fairly classic loaf of bread for 30 rubles. And then over here the French sticks. Is that what they would call them in a French supermarket? 33 rubles. If you're wanting to do the conversion of the prices, right about 93 rubles is $1 and right on 100 rubles is €1. So where I quote a price, 33 rubles, that's 33 euro cents. And I even like to do the US conversion of 1 ruble to 1 cent as well, so it's just easier. So if I see something for 50 rubles, it's 50 cents or 50 euro cents. And I think that's just an easier way for you to look at some of the prices as I show them today. They also have lots of choices of croissants and different types of Danish pastries. And there's a lot of choices of bread as well. And I remember from Tucker Carlson's video, he came over to this brown bread and was like smelling the bread. And I find that strange because it's actually wrapped in plastic. So I'm not too sure what he was checking. Fairly well, most types of bread here are under 100 rubles. So under $1 for a loaf. And now these aren't as big a loaves as maybe they are in a traditional American supermarket. You don't need a whole loaf of bread. A lot of people just buy this for a couple of days of eating. So it's not necessary to get a huge loaf of bread. You can even get some croissants right here, a pack for 57 rubles. This takes me back to my childhood. Jam donuts. These are very nice as well. There is a lot of nice things in here, especially when you come in and you are a little bit hungry. You've got a lot of choices, and all of these are produced in the store. And then if you're really inspired to make your own bread, you can actually buy the dough right out of the fridge here and do it yourself. Moving on to the deli section, there is this never-ending display of hams, salamis, different types of cured meats, and it's really a lot to pick from. You can get different meats in any flavor you like, basically, or any style of cooking of the meats. It's a very popular thing in Russia to have these on the table as a snack. Even eat them for breakfast if you want to. And there's a lot of them as I swing around. I do also hope part of this video shows just how many people are in here on a Wednesday afternoon. This is definitely a work day here in Moscow, and a lot of people are at work really quite genuinely. And people, maybe they've got a day off today, maybe they work different hours, and I hope it just shows how popular this store is in this part of Moscow that I've come to. I think from watching Tucker Carlson's video, it was very hard to get a sense of how busy it was, because he was doing all of the shots without showing necessarily people in the background. So there's really plenty of people in here. I made the last video on Saturday afternoon, if you've watched the previous video on the channel. So that was a little bit busier because of the weekend. Ashan also has its own in-house cafe. Now we are still in the supermarket, as you can tell, and you can choose some ready food and then come over here and sit down and relax and enjoy lunch. And the one thing also, they like to promote their own products. So they're using their own breads to make sandwiches. They're using their own meats for some of the other dishes. And it's just a really nice place to chill out. I don't think I'm showing anything radically different here to other countries of the world. Let me know where you live. Do you have a cafe in your supermarket? Does it have USB sockets up on the desk right there so you can charge your phone? You know, do you actually go to a cafe in your local supermarket? Now, this is something that my wife and I do when we come shopping. We like to buy some food and hang out and have something to eat and just take our time walking around, because there's so much to see in this supermarket. There's plenty of choices of food for you to sit down and enjoy. Donuts, pizza, pastries, and it's really a little bit endless what you can choose from. And this isn't really anything that you're going to take home. Just eat here, enjoy it, get a sandwich. Croissant roll right there for 70 rubles. And there's plenty of different salads. And you get these in containers in 100-gram weights. And you can see the ladies back there, they've got the kitchen where they prepare everything and put it out for sale. Of course, a lot of this supermarket is endless aisles of food, and I'm not going to cover all of them in this video because it'll be very long and almost endless, showing everything and the amount of choices. I want to give a bit of an overview of the whole place, and just to give you a feeling of how big it is. And this is one of hundreds of Ashans throughout Russia. This isn't the only one. These aren't actors that are in the store. You know, this is a very big shop. And it takes a lot of product to fill it and keep it full based on how many people are coming shopping. They do have a nice alcohol section in this store as well. And they've got some of the premium branded products here. Maybe some are familiar, some aren't. Vavilova here is probably one of the most known Russian brands of vodkas. You can actually see, now it's a little bit hard, but just up here, there's a rum called Bayou Rum, and that's from New Orleans, Louisiana. Now imagine in a very random supermarket in Russia, there's a rum from New Orleans available in this store. I did only complete 3 years of high school, so my geography is not the best, but Spanish wine, Italian wine, then we've got French wine. What have we got over here? I think this is possibly Chile, I think. My gosh, oh, I actually see some South African wine there on that shelf. And then they've got just the general European flag here. So you can get wine from anywhere in the world in this store. And then right at the end is the Russian section. Now there is some well-known Russian wines, but people still like to buy things from all around the world at the same time. There's more than enough alcohol choices when I step back and look at the store from a little bit further than just walking right by the shelves. And even just to see all the stock in the upper parts of the shelves there, you can just see endless pallets of stock and the amount of products they can put out. They've also got an entire display of Lay's chips. These are very typical in Russia. They're not something unique, but the amount of different flavor choices of Lay's. Now, I famously know that the company is from Plano, Texas. So if anybody has had Lay's before, let me know. Now, there is some different ones here and there. One actually here is crab flavor. That's not my favorite, but I guess some people like it. As I reach the other corner of the supermarket, this is the other travel aid, is to take you up and down to go back up to the non-food section. Then off in the distance is all of the different drinks and waters, and then endless cleaning supplies. Very popular section in the supermarket, and the amount of choices of them. Now, I am trying to show people in the store. Now, of course, everybody spreads out so quickly when you're walking around, and just the sheer size of this supermarket, it's hard to get a judge of how busy it is. You know, for me to come here, I've passed hundreds of other stores to get to this one. I personally only have to go downstairs from where I live, and I've got a supermarket in my building. I've actually got 7 supermarkets within a 1 kilometer radius of my house. So I don't even need to come to large supermarkets like this when I can shop close to home. We've got the chocolate section over here, and then the edge of all of the personal care items on this left-hand side. I think a lot of people know Yves Rocher. Perhaps they've got a bit of a tie-in with Ashan, being that they're also French. And then looking then all of the different lotions, toothpaste, body wash, plenty of items, lots of Colgate. There's the Nescafe coffee grounds right here, half kilo bag for 530 rubles, so just over $5 US. Perhaps some people are coffee drinkers. And come around to the aisle with candy and treats and all of these sugary snacks. And for everyone who doesn't want to use the self-checkout, which is completely understandable, I'm not a big fan of them personally, the normal registers, and plenty of people always waiting to pay in Ashan. Anytime you come here, there's a line at the registers. It's absolutely normal and to be expected. It's not really a difference if you come on a Saturday or on a Wednesday shopping. One of the things that Russia doesn't produce is coffee beans, and almost all of them are imported in some form. So they either come in as beans or they'll come in as ground coffee, and then quite a lot of them are actually packaged in Russia. So they're bought in bulk and then imported here and then repackaged for sale as a domestically produced item. I think that's fairly normal all around the world. There's lots of choices and different varieties, and always going to be somebody like me who's just staring at the shelf and can't decide which one to choose from because there's so many different types of coffee. It's the one thing that if my wife sends me to buy them, I never know which one to choose from. Then on the other side, there's more choices. And for me, the only one I really know is Nescafe. I know it's pretty sad. I don't drink coffee personally, so I'm not a connoisseur of all these different brands and company names when it comes to coffee. Even when I was working in the supermarket, I slowly learned some of the company names, but it's just not my normal aisle to shop in. As I'm walking around, I think it's very hard to get an idea of how many people are physically in this store, especially with it being 2 levels, upstairs and then here downstairs. I mean, just looking across the whole store, I'd say there's 3,000 or 4,000 people in here shopping in this one supermarket. And imagine how many of them across Moscow there are. And of course, Russia has a very big population, and it demands this kind of a supermarket for people to shop in. I wonder if the people at Ashan listened to my older video talking about other supermarkets that don't put their pasta sauce next to the pasta. And here in Ashan, they've got it right. And there's a whole aisle of pastas all the way down in front of me here. Now, the cheapest in-house brand for a 400-gram bag is 18 rubles. So not even 20 cents for a bag of pasta. So it's very reasonable. Of course, you can choose other brands. There's the whole aisle of them as we walk along. And here we go, they go up a little bit in price, but a very typical bag of pasta is under $1 or €1 when you compare even all the branded ones. It's really not that much difference in price for me. I know the Barilla brand is very well known, and the classic Barilla here, 80 rubles, maybe 90 rubles at the most, so not that expensive for pasta. Coming back to this middle section of the supermarket, again, everybody is hovering around all the different areas and walking around. Now, I'm not really wanting to show people who have empty baskets or don't have a lot of things that they've purchased. These aren't the reasons I make these videos. I make them to show what a Russian typical supermarket looks like and what the feeling is like inside, and show people here shopping and buying things and choosing things, maybe for lunch or dinner, like anybody does in the whole world. And for me, you know, when I come walking in this supermarket, you know, I'll wander around with an empty basket for a long time because there's just so many things to choose from that you really can't just run around here and get your shopping done in a few minutes. It's probably minimum of 1 hour that you're going to spend in here, even if you have just a few things on a shopping list. It's really just so many choices. We saw these pizzas before in the ready-made section. If you want to take one home, 270 rubles or 300 rubles for a nice, basically homemade pizza that's made in the store. These are actually literally made in the kitchen of this supermarket. So for less than $3, you've got pretty much dinner made right there. I think it's almost an easy way to tell all the people that are going to catch public transport to go home just by looking at people with the smaller baskets versus the bigger trolleys. Of course, this has got 3 underground levels of parking here for this shopping center. So of course people do drive here and come shopping here in their car. But generally when you see the people with the smaller baskets, you know they're catching the bus or the train home. Does anybody remember about a year ago, maybe longer now, close to 2 years, there was videos on YouTube showing butter locked in anti-theft cases. And I'm coming into this supermarket, and I don't think I've actually ever seen them personally in any supermarket in Moscow that I visit. And I visit a lot of supermarkets, and here they're all happily just out on display. Just notice here there's a German flag on this one right here. Perhaps people know Parmalat as a brand, but there's more than enough choices of butter. My wife prefers the milk in these cartons that are the long life milks, and most of the long life milks are by fat percentage. Now, where you are in the world, is that normal that you buy milk by the percentage of fat in them, or do you have another metric of how you measure them? If you're interested in The classic one that we buy, it's 90 rubles, so 90 cents. We don't buy the Parmalat one. This one's $1.20 for a fairly similar type of milk, just a branded version. There's actually a whole row of them here and different choices. Do you remember watching the little clip of Tucker Carlson showing the registers and the goods at the register here, especially all of the Western brands like Snickers, Twix, Mars, and then Gillette, and all of the brands that are so famous around the world? I'm pretty sure he stood right here and made that clip on this aisle. So I just want to give a quick shout out to a subscriber. He's just gone through the register here and he recognized me from other videos on the channel. So if you do see me somewhere in Moscow, please say hello. Please introduce yourself. He was really so complimentary of the channel, and we had a bit of a brief conversation about the video I'm making here. So if you do see me out and about, please just come up to me. Even I'm filming, no worries at all. Even if you don't have very good English skills, we can figure out some way of conversating with each other. So a big shout out to the gentleman that I just spoke to back there. Just a quick hello to the fish in the aquarium here. I am still in the supermarket, and these guys are awaiting their fate and their new home. And then we're actually here in the seafood section, and they actually have an open fish stand right here. They do have a fishmonger somewhere, and you can choose which type of fish you'd like. There is all types and varieties to choose from. But unfortunately, the aquarium over there, you know, they don't have the best prospects after this afternoon. Another very big favorite thing in all Russian supermarkets is this candy by weight. And then they've usually got these big pallets of them, and all of the same brand in the boxes. And then you grab a bag, weigh out what you want, and then you don't have to buy the packaged candy. You can choose your favorite one and have as much or as little as you like. And there is quite a lot to choose from. They've probably got about 300 different candies spread out here. And I think no matter who you meet in this aisle, they'll always, you know, whisper to you, and my wife does the same thing. Have a taste, make sure it's something you like before you eat it. And there's a lot to choose from if you don't recognize all of them. But I think there isn't a person in Russia that's not come into Ashan and had one of these candies, and more than likely bought some to take home as well afterwards. I just met another subscriber, and the gentleman is from Algeria and is studying here in Moscow. And I think Algeria's language might be French, because he was very quick to correct me when I called it Ashan, that in French you say Auchan, and you've got to almost have that French accent. So if I've been saying it wrong for dozens of videos, I'm sorry, and I apologize to people in Algeria and in France for not calling Ashan Supermarket. Well, let's continue the walk on upstairs, and this is the second level of Ashan. Now, the only way I can probably compare this to other places around the world is in America, and that's Walmart, and especially a super Walmart. But this is essentially a super Walmart with another Walmart on top of it. So imagine a two-level Walmart. Now in Australia we don't have anything close to the sheer size of these stores. It's not even close to a Kmart or a Big W that we have in Australia. Just over here in the electrical goods area. Now this generally is always empty and has nobody over here, because most people will go to electrical goods stores to buy things, and Ashan is not the first place you think of when you want to buy a shaver or a blender or something like that. On this upstairs level they've actually got a temporary section with all of this different candy and snacks. Now coming up in a few weeks is International Women's Day around the world, and it's incredibly celebrated here in Russia. And chocolate, flowers, whatever the lady wants, she gets. Now in Russia, I'm not sure if it's in other countries, they've also got a Men's Day, which is next weekend. And I'm pretty sure that's why all these ladies are here shopping, looking for a gift for their other half. It's very different when you're on this upstairs level, just with the amount of people that were in the food section. And then when you come up here, it's almost quiet or almost deserted to a point. And that's very normal of every Ashan you go to, that the food section is the primary reason that people come to this chain of supermarkets. You know, the fact that you can buy anything in here though is another reason that you can buy something for a household, and then also all your food at the same time. You know, there's still a lot of people up here, and there's someone in every aisle and every part of this store as you walk around, but it's not nearly as busy as it was on the lower level. I think though for most parents it's the go-to place for stationery and things for the kids to use in school. These exercise books are absolutely classic in Russia, and we've even got a few in our kitchen. My wife uses them to keep notes and things like that, and for 6 cents it's more than cheap enough to get an exercise book. And you'll just see how big the stationery section is and the never-ending choices of pens. And how many types of pens do you really need, or I don't know. It really has a department store feel up here, and just this general shopping area with clothes, shoes, kids products. There's still some winter jackets, and we've got about another month left of cold weather before it starts warming up. So there's something for everybody. You know, this is the thing when you come here, you've got to really focus on what you can take home if you're on the bus or the train versus if you had a car. It's just endless how many aisles there are. Even just the baby section here with all the food, plenty of choices. And then the nappies. Now tell me where you live, is that what you call them? Maybe you're from a country where they call them diapers. Or is there a third name for them? They also have a car section where you can get things like oils and some small tools and the coolants and antifreeze for winter. There's a section there if you want to buy packing boxes and shipping supplies. Gloves. Maybe you need some gloves. And it comes on over then to the outdoor area. And they've got stuff here if you want to do barbecues. Now, I'd be fairly sure anybody that's catching a bus home isn't buying a bag of barbecue coals to take home with them. Well, it's obviously somebody that comes and shops and buys them. They've got a whole barbecue section. Perhaps they're trying to get winter out of our minds very quickly and get us into barbecue season in Russia. They've got some pretty cool ones here too. These are the ones for the garden. These big metal framed ones. In Russia, although it's still very cold outside and minus temperatures, they've got all the seeds out for spring and summertime and endless choices of seeds. And every time I'm trying to show the aisles, everybody runs away from them because, of course, a lot of people don't want to be on a camera of some kind. But this is a very popular part of this supermarket, to come and buy these seeds and actually prepare them at home in the kitchen and have them ready as seedlings to take them to your country house for summertime, so you can start growing some vegetables. And if we're not sure where the pet food is, it's pretty easy. They got the dogs and the cats set up with these giant posters. This is actually one of the few shops where you see canned pet food. Now, almost every supermarket you go to in Russia has packaged pet food or in sachets. And then in here it's canned. I wonder if that's the French influence that comes in. Imagine if I took this home to my wife. This giant cat sign. Wow, there's 5 aisles of cat products. Wow, I never realized there was that many. And all of the packages of the cat food. Most of these are all under about 30 cents a sachet, no matter what brand you choose from. I think I'm gonna head on back downstairs. There is just way too much to cover in this upstairs area. I mean, again, you can just see how big it is. And this is duplicated downstairs where we walked through the food section already. And there is just so much choices of things. And it really doesn't feel that busy up here. There is definitely people shopping though. It's just not the same intensity as it is downstairs. I wonder as I'm walking around and everybody's watching this, if this is similar to a supermarket where you live. I think personally this is quite similar to an Australian supermarket, just not on this scale and this size and this amount of choices. I mean, we have supermarkets in Australia. We've never had this concept of a hypermarket, which is what this is, and the sheer size of it, and just the turnover of goods and how quickly, you know, something is filled up and replenished. I would think as quick as the trucks get in here, they've got stuff going out on the shelves. You can see here some persimmons. Perhaps if you're feeling a little bit more exotic, you can get a pineapple. Pineapples in Russia. They're all the way from Costa Rica, all the way to Moscow. Thank you, Costa Rica, for sending some tropical fruit to us here in Moscow. As I slowly make my way to the registers to head on out, I think you'll be quite surprised what item that I'm buying as I leave the store. Maybe you want to put it in the comments before you get to the last part of the video. What item have I purchased in the store? If you know me, perhaps it might be something that you would think is very typical of me buying. And if not, it might be interesting what the difference is on your answer and what I've decided to buy as we walk past the meat section right here. I don't think it's a supermarket video that I've made on this channel that I haven't shown cheese and the amount of choices. And I must admit, coming to this Ashan today, I haven't been to one for quite a while, barring the previous video. And certain areas of the shop have certainly got better looking and more presentable than what it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago when I first came here. And they're really trying to step up their presentation of the store and trying to perhaps attract people to come shopping here more regularly, especially people who would drive here from somewhere else, not immediately nearby. You know, it's definitely got better looking over the years, these Ashan supermarkets. The one thing I do need to buy, but I'm not going to carry it all the way home from here, is toilet roll. I'm just going to buy it at my local shop. And the package of 12 here is $2.60 or thereabouts. If you were to compare in dollars and rubles, what's the price of toilet roll where you live? Can somebody who is from Russia explain to me in the comments what the obsession is with so many types of water and so many choices of water? Now, of course, I realize some are classic water and some are the bubbly water, but just choice after choice of different waters. It's just fascinating to me, even after living here so many years, how many there are to choose from. I really do hope this video has been enjoyable to watch. Now I'm almost at the exit. I do feel like I've walked around here about 4 times trying to point out different parts of the store, and I think just looking from here all the way down gives you a bit of a perspective of all the shoppers, particularly in this grocery section, which is, I think, the big reason why people come here to this particular Ashan, and how many people are shopping on a Wednesday afternoon. Now, a lot of people really are at work in Russia, and most people would come here after 6 or 7 p.m. once they finish work. And this time right now that I'm filming is not in any way a busy time that I'm in the store. Normally I'll come during the day midweek and there isn't a lot of people, but even for today it's nice and busy. As I leave the famous Ashan behind, and the one specifically where Tucker Carlson came shopping, I did ask this in my previous video and I'm going to ask it again. Why did he come to this supermarket? What made him come to this particular one versus all of the supermarkets in Moscow? He could have certainly have gone to one much closer to the center of Moscow and just walked into any supermarket and made a video. What made him come to this French-owned supermarket chain? You know, is there a specific reason why he chose this one versus others? I mean, I don't think this store's any cheaper than a lot of other supermarkets in Moscow personally. I think maybe 8 or 10 years ago it was a lower price store to come to. I think gradually over the years the prices in here have gone up a little bit and it's just not as cheap as it used to be years ago. So what was the reason why he came here? Somebody needs to tell me. As I make my way out of the store, I wonder what everybody's choice was for what you thought I bought here in Ashan. Now I'm going to completely surprise you. I bought a bag of birdseed. Now across the road from the shops there's a very nice park and there's birds over there by the thousands, and especially in winter they struggle to get something to eat with all the snow covering all of the ground. So I thought I'd treat them to some, I think it's parrot mix actually. Now is that what you guessed in the comments? I think perhaps not. Thanks everybody for watching as I just get to the exit of the store. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and I hope the walk around gave you a bit more of a sense of the particular store that Tucker Carlson came to here in Moscow. I mean, I always like to call all my videos Russian typical supermarkets, and this really is. This particular brand is all throughout Russia, and it's not a Russian-owned supermarket. That's one thing that I'm curious why he didn't go to a Russian supermarket versus a French one. That really makes a difference. I'm interested in your thoughts in the comments. Let me know. If you want to join me over on Telegram, there's a channel that you can click right here. I'm very active in the comments and in the chat of Telegram. And if you'd like to see an older video on the channel, one's coming up right now, you can check out an older video by clicking that one. And stay watching Traveling with Russell. Okay, everybody, I'm off on another adventure. Bye.